Welcome to the Fallout Post-Apocalyptic Edition, where we give you the fallout of your favorite reality TV shows. Tonight being Big Brother Canada Season 9, Episode 3. I'm Logan Murphy.
I'm Jordyn Legacy, although looking a little ragged tonight.
Girl, you look good. Don't worry about it. And tonight we have a lovely special guest, a good friend of the podcast, Cole Stringer. Cole, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Pretty good. I mean, honestly, it was
Good.
kind of a boring episode, I'm gonna be honest. Like nothing really happened.
True. Yeah, as someone who really doesn't know anything about Canada Big Brother or Big Brother Canada or whatever, it was a little boring. The first episode I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed meeting everybody, but this last episode I was like, something needs to happen. Something.
Yeah. Well, we are going to get into all of the tea and the fallout from this episode. But before we start, if you are not subscribed, since we are currently live on YouTube, go subscribe to the channel, do all of the YouTube related things. Go follow us on Twitter at the Fallout TV, where you can also see our link tree, which is linktr.ee/Fallout TV. And that'll give you all the links for where you can hear this audio afterwards. If you are listening to the audio afterwards, please make sure to follow us on all of the podcasting sites wherever you are listening to us from. So with that, let's jump into the episode, and we start with what I was personally hoping we would get. We get the fallout literally before the eviction of Julie Vu. And so we get to see this fight that was kind of talked about on feeds, and we will get into spoilers at the very end. So don't worry for those of y'all that watch feeds like us, not Cole, but myself and Jordyn. But yeah, so we get this Julie and Josh fight where Julie says that you cannot trust this slimy person. I wrote that specifically because I was like, okay, word choice, Julie Vu. But yeah, Jordyn, how do we feel about the fight that we had heard about for literally days?
I expected it to be worse, to be honest. It didn't. I think we didn't get shown all of it. I think there has to have made it something worse because Josh was going to be going. So to flip the house that quickly is not. Yeah, I don't know. I think there was more. We didn't get a lot of the fight. It's disappointing. And then we went right into the HOH challenge. Come on, Survivor.
Literally a Survivor style comp. It is called Arch Rivals. If y'all have ever seen Survivor, it's that good old, you hold a bow, you've got balls, and you have to balance them for as long as you can, except in this comp, you're only allowed one hand, which is significantly harder. Cole, are you a Survivor person?
I like Survivor casually. I'm not I'm not super fan.
Okay, so you'd probably seen this comp before.
Yes, I have seen
What
this
did
comp.
What did you think about it?
What? I really like the comp. All I'm gonna say is there's no way possible that I was actually gonna be able to if I was there, I would be terrible at it.
Oh, same.
I won't spoil the winner just yet, but basically, what was really how long do they stay on for? Almost
50
an hour?
minutes total. Yeah, almost an hour.
Yeah. And I was I wouldn't last 5 minutes. My arm would be shaking. It'd be crazy.
Well, speaking of people to drop early, since Cole seems to think he would, the first three to drop, funny enough, were Kiefer, Josh, and Rohan, all defenders, which I also found very interesting. We got a little bit of a comedy moment, I guess, in the midst of it. Beth, walk lightly, Jordyn, walk lightly.
That was not all she was doing. What else did she say?
No, it was all walk lightly.
No. Oh, it was Tina who said, "Shut up."
Oh yeah,
Let them focus.
Yep.
Well, we'll get to that in a moment. But I did want to point out the people that did make it, because there were 4 balls total that could have been balanced. About half the cast dropped beforehand. And those people that made it to 4 balls were Austin, Brayden, Tina, Tara, Latoya, and Beth. 5 women. We love to see it. Brayden, we love to see it. Macho men out of this competition early. We love to see it.
I was living for the badassery of the females.
Yeah, I was honestly, I was a little surprised. Oops. I was a little surprised seeing honestly seeing like Austin, Tina, and like Beth, and even Tara, like they pulled that one out. I was worried because you see, like, this is a competition that I've seen a lot of like the strong men type be really good, because usually like with like work, like whenever they're like working out a lot and all that, like they usually build up those skills pretty easy. So I was a little worried, but they pulled it out and they did so good.
They did. And we end up with Latoya and Brayden for the defenders versus Beth and Austin for the, Team Destiny. I'm calling them the defenders as if I can't call them the Destinies. But Team Defender and Team Destiny. And then we end up with a showdown between Latoya and Austin. And there was a kind of pseudo deal made. They were both kind of like, oh, I got you. And the other one was like, oh, I got you too. But no real deal was made. And in that time, like Jordyn alluded to earlier, we get Tina, who was out at that point, telling Kiefer to shut up. Because, and I will say, I agreed with it. I think Kiefer was being a little bit rude during the comp. Obviously rooting for Latoya because obviously that's his team. He would have had safety. But Cole, what did you think about Kiefer being like in the middle of the mental focus break?
Okay, honestly, like, not a bad strategy. Definitely puts a target on your back. That's for sure. But if you think that person is like about to lose it, like, why not speed it up? Why not do it? But I do also, it's strategy. But I do also agree that, like, with what Tina was doing, it's very like, because those two are the captains of those teams, so it's very interesting to see like both their styles. Tina is making herself look as if she's for the team and for fairness, which people want to be with. Whereas with that move, Kiefer kind of is making himself be seen as, oh, he only cares about himself in this game, which would kind of turn you away from wanting to work with him. So I don't know if that was the right move at the right time.
Yeah, the timing was definitely off.
Yeah, but so we do get, even though there is a sort of break in the mental focus, it doesn't matter because our good girl Austin becomes the first head of household of the season, and mentions Kiefer, her words, shit talking, after the comp. And I was like, yes, Austin, powerful women winning the first 2 comps of the season. We love to see it.
Yes. I also saw on Twitter, that Austin is the first female HOH in Big Brother Canada in like because this is BB9, correct?
Yeah, so she's the first female head of household in Big Brother Canada since Corey on BB Can 7 week 6, which I didn't even realize that statistic, and it's disgusting. But I'm very glad that we broke it. I mean, we also only got 3 weeks of BB Can 8, 3 or 4 weeks, I think. So like in that time, there was a lot of mayhem happening in that house anyway.
Around next week would be around the time it ended last year, 20th-ish.
Yeah, and we'll probably get some acknowledgement from BB Can, possibly when we see Arissa on Thursday, something like that. But we cut to the next part of the show. And we start with an Austin and Beth game talk, leading in, like, talking about Kiefer, leading into a talk about Kiefer being certain that he's going to be the renom, and we see a DR from him at this point, basically saying, like, this is worst case scenario for me, which I kind of agreed with. Like, don't shit talk the person who's about to probably win HOH.
Some other people.
Mm-hmm. But after that, we get a lovely HOH reveal, which is literally the same room as last year. So I'm happy to see it again.
You also forgot that Beth and Austin made the final two deal.
Yes, they do make a final two. I think this is the first final two we're seeing on the show. I know there's a couple. Now. Yeah, or no, that's a lie. Jed and Ty. Literally 10 seconds into the house.
That's not gonna fucking last.
I hope it does. I'd love to see it, but you never know. No. But yeah, so we get the HOH reveal. She gets a letter from her best friend. And then we get a lot of what we've seen on feeds. If y'all are live feeders, we see the prank segment with Victoria and Ty.
Now with the have not room, that's gonna add some more pranks into the game because that shit's gotta be 5 or 6 feet. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It looked like it was eating Austin. So
yeah, and we'll get into the have not room a little bit later on as well. But they threw, because it is Rohan's birthday currently, and they threw him into the ball pit last night, and I was like, there's still like a floor underneath them. Like, be careful. Like, I hope Rohan's okay, but after this we get a lot of
Rohan.
Right. We get a lot of 2-person and 3-person talks. We get a segment with Rohan and fake Kyle Moore talking about how they can't read Austin and Beth. And then we literally flip immediately to a conversation that I believe we saw in the feeds with Beth, Austin, and Brayden. And I remember specifically seeing Beth talking in this scenario, talking about how she's nervous about LaToya. Which I really appreciated, because from what we had seen up until this episode, LaToya kind of had the house wrapped around her finger. And there are a couple things, like once feeds came on last week, that's kind of what we were seeing as well. Is that LaToya, it seemed like LaToya kind of had everyone wrapped around her finger. And I appreciate, we also get a DR from Austin at this point, talking about how she doesn't trust LaToya, and they're speculating this alliance with LaToya, Jed, and Ty, which is a real alliance.
Yeah.
So I actually really appreciated that we're seeing once again, and I didn't know if we were going to see more strategic gameplay early on from Beth, but I'm happy to see that we're seeing this side of Beth, because I'll get to other sides of Beth here in a little bit. But yeah, we get to see the strategic side of Beth, which I'm loving thus far.
Yes.
I'm really enjoying Beth. She's one of those players that you're gonna watch for. I think she's gonna come in hot, and they're gonna leave her in a little too long, and at that point it's gonna be too late.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I wanted to touch on before we even moved on to that, Brayden and Austin, they need to stop being so attached with each other, because that's gonna add even more of a target on Austin. She's won HOH, she's close to Brayden. Girl, I love their friendship, but I think they need to go 6 feet apart. Pardon that.
They need to be social distancing in the house, where you don't have to currently be social distancing.
Yes.
Yeah. Cole, what do you think about all these talks?
Yeah. I'm honestly, like, Beth, Austin, and Brayden, I will say, whenever I saw them on the cast reveal, like, they weren't one of my favorites. I felt like, for me, I felt like some of them, like, were kind of casted to be like the pretty faces who might not play as like much of a strategy game. Because like I'm more like BBUS, so like with BBUS you see those types of people a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But these three are coming out of the gates playing strategy, playing hard, like doing what's right for their game, and I love to see it, because it's not what I was expecting out of their gameplay, but I'm so pleasantly surprised.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm curious to see where it's gonna go. I
Mhm.
have thoughts about if she's nervous about Latoya, why she did what she did with the nominations, but we can touch base on that a little bit later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we get
Big
this
Brother is gonna call them to the living room, basically.
yeah, so we get a difficult decision. Oh my God. A difficult decision, a moral dilemma, a problem, whatever every franchise calls it. Because I know Survivor Australia calls it a moral dilemma, and I'm like, oh no.
I
So
guess
we
it
get
could be a moral dilemma.
yeah, I love that they call it a moral dilemma on Survivor Australia. I absolutely love. If you don't watch Australian Survivor, do it. It's great. Yeah, so we get captains leading their teams into the bedrooms. We're perpetuating this team thing again, which I'm like, honestly, I'm kind of sick of teams already. I'm not going to lie to y'all, but it doesn't really seem like that they're fully following teams, which I also really appreciate. And we get a food dilemma. Ooh. So each team gets the option to steal or share. And if we get a double share, they are both, all of the house guests are on peanut butter and jelly for the week. If we get one share and one steal, the team that steals gets a luxury meal and an advantage in the power of veto competition. And then the other team is automatically on slot for the week. And then if both teams decide to steal, everyone's on slot for the week. So each team kind of talks individually. We get a negotiator for each team, being Ty for
Shocker.
Destiny and Latoya for defenders. Shocker, spoiler to nobody's real surprise. Latoya is a negotiator. She's a cop. I'm not surprised. Also, what I will say about Latoya really quickly, and it was said on the episode tonight, and we're still not really sure. We had heard that people were calling her Lieutenant Latoya in the house. And then during the HOH, I did notice that someone called her LT. So I don't know if people are just confusing like the abbreviation for lieutenant with like her name Latoya, and they're just abbreviating Latoya to LT. I'm kind of thinking that might be where it is, because I still have not seen, and Jordyn, correct me if I'm wrong, I still haven't seen anything where Latoya has talked about being a cop in the house.
I don't think she has.
I don't
Has it
think so
yet?
either. I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I haven't really
But-
seen anything.
And I think in her strategy, like initially in pre-season interviews, she didn't want to say anything about it.
No, I think if I remember correctly, she wanted to she just was gonna say she's a fashion designer. But Cole, what were you gonna say?
What confuses me though is in one of her packages, she talks about like changing like the view of cops and policing in general.
Yeah.
And that confuses me because like she can't really do that if she's hiding the fact that she is a police officer. So
I think that might be what I think that might be, which I could be wrong, but I think that could be to the general public. She's trying to change the way cops.
Yeah, but like,
Or I
Yeah,
don't see her telling the house. If she does, she'll probably be voted out for keeping it as long as she did.
yeah, but like, what message does it send to the general public if you're hiding the fact that you are a cop to people in
Yeah.
fear of it will hurt your game?
Yeah.
Well, she's already treating the house like a
Yeah.
dictatorship.
Mhm. Yeah, we'll get to that a little bit as well when we talk about live feed spoilers since Thursday's episode. But yeah, I agree with you, Cole. I'm not really sure. I think, and I agree with you, Jordyn, as well. I think it's kind of just like her being in the house as a Black woman who's also a cop, like that sort of tea. But I feel like if we hear it out of her, it's going to be in her eviction speech or on her way out of the house. Like, I think it could be something where like she's literally walking up the steps and she's like, y'all, I'm actually a cop, like that sort of situation, which it has happened before with people like talking about like who they really are. But I mean, cops have a reputation in social strategy games of doing very well. I mean, Derek won BBUS. We've seen Tony Vlachos and Sarah Lucina both win. One of them multiple times win Survivor, and so like from a gameplay perspective, still I'm not the biggest fan of her personally, but from a gameplay perspective, I do understand that like it has to be an interesting balance between her not talking about it to try to preserve her game and also like wanting to talk about it given the climate of the world. But anyway, back to our moral dilemma. Ooh, I'm trying to do all the oohs because it's post-apocalyptic. I don't know what that really has to do with it, but I'm doing it. The results are boring. They both share. Boring, boring, boring. So it answers the question that we have.
Tara wanted though.
Tara
and Austin both wanted initially to steal.
And I love it. We have not seen a lot of Miss Tara so far, but what we have seen of her in the house, I'm loving.
She's a game player. She
yes,
is a game player.
I see her, and she is
practicing on her children worked.
Yeah, and I do see her. She is in a few alliances at the moment, so I could see her, going to jury unless something else happens. I could see her definitely making the jury phase of this game, which I'd like to see because I think I was one of the only champions of her in our cast assessment, which you can listen to on all available podcasting platforms, by the way, if you haven't. But yeah, boring, double share. I don't want to talk about it anymore. So we get, moving forward in the episode, we get a lovely segment with Victoria talking about the foster care system in Canada. Love. Again, winner pick. Love her. That
was a sweet segment, and she got to go to Wendy's.
Yep, she did, and got a baked potato, I assume, in honor of her late foster mom. Love.
I believe that's what that was. I also, didn't we mention a robot with a screen of people?
Yes, we did, Jordyn. We sure did. So in our last episode, also available on all podcasting platforms, if you have not listened, we did talk about how we thought Wendy's was going to go because we knew it was a thing. People were talking about it on feeds. So we were curious how the Wendy's would happen. And we do get Austin going in to get her Wendy's and getting a video from her family, which I really loved. I assumed they were probably going to do that as soon as she got her letter from her best friend. I was like, I don't think she's just getting the letter from her best friend. I think they're also going to do family. So it didn't really surprise me that we get a video message from her family. And I love it. Her family seems beautiful and lovely.
Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah.
I like that we also nailed that down last episode.
We are kind of nailing it when it comes to like a lot of the things happening in the house. Like we're nailing it. And we get one other thing before we get, the big game talks of the episode. And that is the starts of not really a showmance, but maybe a cuddle-mance. I've been in a Panakukin for a year and I just want to cuddle someone moment between Beth and Ty. And we get this cute DR from Beth where she's like, Brayden wants to get with Jed. LaToya wants to get with Jed. Austin wants to get with Jed. I'm just going to take Ty. And I love that. And I do really appreciate that we are getting a few different sides of Beth so far. Because I didn't really know if she was going to be one of the more dynamic players at the start. So I'm really happy to see that, she's getting airtime.
And she's been sleeping with Ty every night, it looks like, on the feeds.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think every night since like Friday or Saturday.
Yeah, and then they also kissed.
But we'll get to that in our spoilers later. Cole, what do you think about this?
Spoiler.
Well, it is a spoiler to some. But Cole, what do you think about this budding showmance that we've got going on?
I think it's cute. Yeah, I think it's fun. I think it's a good time. But what I will say is Beth better know when to cut loose because at the end of the day, I think Ty's going to be with LaToya And if Beth wants to take out LaToya at some point, she's either got to get Ty on her side, or she's got to know when the moment's right. That's my only critique with Beth so far. Is I don't know if this showman I don't want this showmance to interfere with her game, because I think she's playing a great game so far, and I don't want it to hurt it either.
Yeah. And what I will say, since you don't watch a lot of BB Can, unfortunately, the trend is that normally the male part of a showmance ends up getting the upper hand as opposed to the female part of the showmance, which is upsetting. And I don't want that trend to continue, which is why I hope Beth, to everything you said, I hope Beth gets it together and knows when to cut him.
But that being said, that we haven't seen, I don't want to knock past seasons because I love Big Brother, but this is the first BB Can that we've seen some real badass women taking names, and I think Beth has the potential to get rid of Ty first and not being a victim of that.
Yeah, and we do know she's a fan of the show. She did mention multiple BB Can and BBUS players in her bio that we got. So I agree with you, Jordyn. I'm hopeful, but I don't know. And then at this point we get into the meat of the episode, which is Austin talking with all three people that are potentially nominated. We get a little bit of her talking right before noms about how there are 6 people that she can choose from, but she's very, very close to Brayden. She's working with she's working with Jedson, which we'll talk about when we talk about spoilers and like the alliance situation. And she promised LaToya safety in the HOH. So pretty much the gist that we're getting is it's between Josh, Kiefer, and Rohan, as far as who she's gonna put up. The Josh talk, he kind of gives the pros and cons of everyone. And Austin mentions to him that she doesn't think LaToya is the right move. He does also mention Rohan getting it with the guys and Kiefer kind of floating and not really fitting in anywhere, which we do also hear from Kiefer directly in his talk with Austin. He's finding it hard to break in with people. He says he doesn't want to advocate getting Austin out, which was a weird way of saying I'm not targeting you, but go off, Kiefer. And he also pitched Rohan to her. And then we get the Rohan talk, which is kind of a different we get a different energy from Austin. This is also the only talk that doesn't happen in her HOH room. We get this talk in the Expedia room. He immediately starts out with figuring that Josh threw out his name. Austin tells Rohan that she's cool with him and mentions to him directly that her plan is she's leaning at this point towards nominating the 2 people who were first to drop in the comp, which would be Kiefer and Josh. So
during that Josh conversation, who was outside the door? Was it Jed or was it Rohan?
I thought it was Kiefer.
No, before that.
I don't
There was
remember.
like an alpha male type standing outside the door, and then sounded like he overheard.
It might have been Jed.
Okay.
I genuinely don't remember.
But I just remembered that there was like someone that wasn't Josh or Kiefer outside the door, kind of listening.
Yeah.
And then they kind of like scurried off.
Yeah. Yeah. Cole, what do you think about these talks?
It's probably the safe move for Austin to just nominate Josh and Kiefer. I think it's the right move for now. I think keeping as much heat off of her back as possible and just doing what the house wants is probably the right move here.
Yeah.
I don't think there's I don't think there's any better move to make right now.
Yeah, and what we do see is exactly what you just said. Austin does end up putting Kiefer and Josh up on the block. Her reasoning for Josh is that he's causing chaos in the house. He threw out a lot of names last week while he was up against Julie, and she's not 100% sure as far as his loyalties. And to Kiefer, she says that he hadn't really talked game with her until the day of nominations, which is not really good. And again, mentions the calling her out in the HOH. I do agree with you both. I think this is kind of the safer move. For me personally, thinking about the game in general, and this also might be influenced by what we know on feeds, I don't think this was the best move for Austin's game personally, getting this HOH. I think it was the best move for her team, but I don't think her getting this kind of attention very early on is something that she really should have done for her long game. I hope that she can stay long, because I am really liking what I'm seeing of Austin so far. And we do get her and Brayden at the very beginning as well. I forgot to mention, talking about how they were upset about Julie going, even though they voted for her still. But sure, love, sure. Like, that's kind of where I'm at with that. But yeah, do we have any other thoughts about the episode before we get into what we know about spoiler thingies?
I wanted more fighting. I didn't get enough of the fight. It was kind of boring.
It was a very boring. It's a very boring episode, which is why we didn't really talk about it for that long.
I need more out of these people.
Yeah.
Like, I went in so hyped, and I really enjoyed the first few episodes. But if the Monday show is any way of what we're going to be getting in the near future, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, not every episode of a Big Brother season is going to be the most entertaining. We know that as fans. Like, we see it in every franchise across the world. Not every episode is going to be great. What I will say is great is what has happened in the time that we have live feeds, because live feeds did go live Thursday night. We did talk about it just the tiniest bit on Thursday's episode, also available wherever you can listen to podcasts. But we are going to move into the spoiler section. So if you don't want to be spoiled 100%, thank you for listening or watching. Like, subscribe, follow, do all the things. But we are going to talk spoilers because we have a veto winner. We have final nominees. We have all of that. I'm just stalling so y'all get a little bit more time to click off.
And I also want to go over Razor Skate's alliance chart.
Yes. So while you get that loaded, Jordyn, I will talk about veto. So veto happens. Apparently it's some sort of comp where you have to like bring it involves balls and barrels and balancing. We see these comps on BB all the time. I think it was apples. Yeah, I think you're right, Jordyn. So we get that sort of tea. I forget. I believe players were Kiefer, Josh, Tina, Tara, Victoria, but don't quote me on that. I don't remember offhand.
Austin would be one of them.
No, HOH is not playing again this season. So that's the interesting.
Weird.
Yeah, that's the interesting weird thing that they're keeping. I believe it started BB Can 6, which I still don't really like. There's only 5 people playing in the veto. We don't get a 6th player. I don't really like that, but it is what it is. And we find out once the feeds come back after the veto competition that Kiefer has won the power of veto, which I love as a Kiefer fan. I'm very, very happy. I didn't want to see him be the second person eliminated, so I'm very happy to see that Kiefer is safe, which we will see all of this unfold on Wednesday's episode as well. We do also find out today was the veto meeting. Kiefer did decide to use the veto on himself, thank God, because there was a moment where he wasn't going to. And we find out that Austin has replaced him with Rohan. On his birthday, on Rohan's birthday, she dragged him through the mud like that. Shout out to Rockstar, we love you.
It's only Rohan, so I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah, so our final
How do
nominees.
you feel about the chickens?
We love the chickens. We love the chickens. We love chicken. But yeah, so our final nominees for the week are Josh and Rohan. So regardless, we're losing another major minority. We're either losing another Asian person in back-to-back weeks, or we're losing 2 queer people in a row, which I don't really like. But given what the options were, I'm happy it's not Kiefer.
Yeah. Okay.
Same.
Are y'all ready for this? Because this alliance chart is a lot.
It's a lot, and there's one person that is just not included because I looked it up just now and I'm kind of sad about it.
First and foremost, Josh is not anywhere to be seen on this thing. He has no alliance. They're treating him like a pariah.
Yeah, he's literally like
one thing
off
I do
on
not
his
agree
own.
with.
Yeah,
Okay. So you have the Sunsetters, which is Jed and Kiefer. You also have the
no, that's
3,
that's the 6th person, love. The Sunsetters are all 6.
Is it? Okay, well then
Yeah, so,
Tev, Tina, and Latoya. The Tina and Toya show. That is an awful alliance name, Tina.
yeah, I don't really like it.
Okay, and then you have the 3. So that's Latoya, Jed. Hi. So there's that one.
Yeah, and
God.
that seems to be, other than the team designations that we already have, that Sunsetters Alliance, Ty, Jed, Toya, Tina, Beth, and Kiefer seems to be the big sort of the majority alliance that we see. I appreciate that it's not all big people and that we are seeing not only both team captains, but we're seeing a lot of diversity within that, which I appreciate. And also they included Tina Thistle. Tina Thistle is in a great position in this house. Thank the Lord. Like, thank you.
And then we have Bustin, which is Austin and Beth. Deshawn, which is Judd and Deshawn. Isn't that Undercover Brothers?
That is Undercover Brothers, but Razor Skate likes to just combine names.
Not that. Then we have Kayan, which is Rohan and Kyle. Tenna, which is Tina and Tara.
Which I love.
Oh
I love seeing them work together. And then Tina
the
and
dolls have a new name.
Yes.
Lawson Posse.
I think it's Glossy Posse. Love.
I'm into it. Love it. But I prefer the dolls. Preston. A3 with Beth.
Yeah, so it's the remainder of the dolls. It's Austin and Brayden. And then we get they have a 2, but they also have 2 separate alliances, one with Beth and one with Victoria.
And then obviously Team Defender and Team Destiny. Thoughts on all these alliances? Who do you think is gonna implode?
I feel like I don't know. I feel like the Sunsetters might implode because there was some stuff on feeds. I believe it was like a combination of Tina, Latoya, Jed, Ty, some group of those people talking about how they kind of regretted including Beth in the alliance. Because what we've seen throughout the last few days of feeds, since now we're finally getting to see the kind of inner workings of the house, is that not a lot of people are really trusting Beth outside of Austin and Brayden. And I remember distinctly, I believe it was Tina, but I'm not 100% sure. Someone in that alliance was talking about how they wish they had included Tara in the alliance as opposed to Beth.
I can see that.
I also wish it was Tara over Beth personally.
I don't agree with that, honestly. I'm vibing with Beth, so I'm happy Beth is there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Personally, Tara's not giving me too much.
Mm-hmm.
She's one of the people that I kind of like under the radar for me right now.
Mhm.
But I think
I
Beth's playing
enjoyed
so
when she
good.
jumped off the couch. But it was
Yeah,
her that was like almost Peter Pants,
I believe
right?
so. I think so. There's been a lot of feeds to talk about and watch in the last 3 or 4 days, but yeah, what I will say is I think the Sunsetters, I don't think the Sunsetters will make final six. I think at least one of them is probably going to get taken out and replaced with someone. I hope if Beth is an early boot, which I also don't hope that's the case. I hope that they replace Beth with a Tara potentially, or even like a Victoria or an Austin. Um, it does kind of look like though. It very much looks like Austin and Brayden are kind of segregating themselves and making themselves like a very obvious twosome. In a lot of what we saw on feeds very early on, we did see, Austin doing her HOH talks, but Brayden also being there for a lot of the like non-Josh, Rohan, Kiefer talks. Like Brayden was also there kind of leeching on that information for potentially for Team Defender, but I don't really think Brayden is as loyal to that group. I think Destiny is a little bit more loyal to themselves. And I think Defender
Yeah.
is kind of a group of people that have to be together because Kiefer chose them.
Yeah, I could see that.
I think that also kind of goes back to the captains of those teams, like Tina. From what it looks, I will say, I think right now Tina Thistle is in the best position in the house because I have not heard anyone say anything negative about Tina thus far.
No, I would agree with the fact that I think Tina is in the best position. Like she's had the safety. She hadn't had to make any real big decisions yet. And I worry for Austin. I do.
I do
I'm
too.
scared. I am scared that Miss Austin is going to be. She's not HOH next week. If Team Destiny wins, I could see them going for her.
Well, they can't because she is on Destiny, love.
Oh, Defender.
If anyone other than Team Destiny or Brayden wins the next HOH, I agree. I think if a Defender wins other than Brayden, I think we could see an Austin and Beth nomination next week.
Yeah.
Is Latoya would Latoya target Austin?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, what I will say about Latoya is a lot of what we've seen on feeds is it seems like very early, like hours into feeds, it looked like Latoya kind of had the house wrapped around her finger, which from a gameplay perspective, I love to see that. I love to see anyone who's powerful enough to wrap an entire house around their finger. It looked like she kind of had her girls' alliances, she had her guys' alliances. She's kind of covered by everyone in the house, really, with the exception of like Beth and Austin and Brayden to an extent. What we've seen in the last few days on feeds is that it seems like Latoya has started to shift her target from Austin to Miss Spicy V. And I'm upset about that because no one needs to be targeting Victoria this early because she is a precious woman that we need to keep in this house and also my winner pick. So I don't want to see her go home. But yeah, Cole, what do you think about Latoya?
Oh my.
Yeah, so Latoya was talking early in feeds about wanting to target Austin, even though she's the HOH. So we didn't understand that at first. And over the last, I would say 48 hours, she's kind of shifted that target away from Austin and now is thinking Victoria, just because it does, from her perspective, it seems that Victoria's a little bit more well ingrained thus far. And that is a threat to Latoya, who is also trying to be very well ingrained with both the guys and the girls.
Honestly, I feel like that's kind of a misread because I don't know. I think a lot of people like Victoria, but I would say in alliance wise, I wouldn't she's with Brayden. I'm trying to remember all the ones that
Who,
she's in.
Austin?
No, Victoria.
Oh, so Victoria she's working with the remainder of the dolls.
Yes.
But she really honestly doesn't have any other alliances. Like she's not in the Big Six alliance. There is like the Austin, Beth, and their like potential showmances being Jed and Ty. The one thing we also, I don't know if we mentioned, but we have Kyle and Rohan kind of working with Tina and Tara a little bit. I don't know how secure that 4 is going to be. But that is another aspect of the alliances, which I find interesting.
What one thing I do find interesting too, sorry, I'm just looking at the alliance chart again. After Thursday's show, Defender is going to be down to 5, with Destiny having the majority.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if that's going to play effect into things. All the things.
Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see if we see a mention of the Sunsetters on Wednesday's episode, because we didn't get one tonight. So because I believe it came together Sunday night or like sometime middle of the day Sunday. It was kind of talked about, and unless it happened before feed started, which we don't really know. But I'm interested to see if we do get a mention of Sunsetters on Wednesday's episode, and if not, are we going to see it on Thursday? Are we going to see it at all? Like, when are we going to see like this alliance sort of being a thing? We also got the Have Not reveal.
But do you know who's Have Not?
No clue.
Okay, so that's weird to me. Why did they reveal Have Not? And I don't think anyone is.
Just so they can play in a ball pit.
Everybody was in the beds.
Well, just so they can play in the ball pit while
I would have waited for
birthday.
a reveal. Maybe.
It may have been Rohan's birthday doing it. I don't know. But I love the
like, haha, you're a Have Not.
You're a Have Not on your birthday. Also, you're nominated. No, that would have been horrible. But no, we do get
in the ball pit.
Happy
birthday.
I love the clip, and I shared it with both of y'all earlier today, of LaToya kind of popping up and being like fully hidden in the ball pit, and then there's like some like danger music under it. I was like, this might be my favorite meme thus far this season. I'm kind of feeling
that
this.
To me yesterday.
Did I? It was sometime in the last 24 hours. I don't know. Time is not a concept for me anymore. And the other big thing we get on.
Oh, how deep is the ball pit?
It looks pretty deep because they threw Rohan in last night when it hit midnight in Toronto, and he like was perfectly fine. So I was like, I don't know how deep this ball pit is. But I would like to know.
I've seen pictures of Austin and LaToya with all I see is head.
Yeah.
And now there's going to be more pranking. I think Big Brother is going to regret the ball pit.
I think Big Brother is going to regret the ball pit, and potentially also the OLG lounge.
At least, because like people are jumping off the couch when being framed. But like I could see, I'm the person you would see in the house that's burying myself in the balls and waiting for someone to pop out and scare the bejesus.
Oh, absolutely, I would do the same.
And like that plastic ball sound is gonna eventually get annoying.
I will not be watching feeds if it's in the ball pit, because I don't want to hear the crinkle, crinkle, crinkle of like 1,000 balls in there. Also, do we have estimates on how many balls we think are in the ball pit?
No.
2,000.
I was gonna say 2,200, like somewhere around there. Like I feel like it has to be somewhere around
9,000.
Okay, great.
I think that's too much.
No,
I feel like it's probably somewhere between ours and Jordyn's. But yeah, the other big thing we see from... Oh, go ahead.
The reason I say 900-ish, it's season 9.
Oh, you know.
Hello,
So
trivia
9,000.
question. Yeah.
Yeah, I see that being
9,000,
like a...
season 9.
I see that being like a tiebreaker in like an HOH
Tiebreaker
comp or
question.
something. Yeah. But yeah, the other big thing...
Definitely.
The other big thing we get from feeds is a continuation of something we saw in the episode. Beth and Ty have kissed. It's a thing. It's a real thing. It happened. Like we said before, I hope Beth knows when to cut him, because otherwise, I don't know. But yeah, do we have any other thoughts about, ball pit, peanut butter and jelly? Also, where is Keith? Why does Kiefer not have a bed?
Where is it? Why is Kiefer sleeping with Josh? Where is Kiefer's bed?
I would like to know.
That's one thing we missed in the episode, because he was in the HOH talking to Austin.
Mm-hmm.
This is when it happened. And he walked out of the HOH and they were carrying the bed down the stairs.
Yeah, and we don't see that on the episode. We just see it cut to Kiefer leaving the room. So I don't know. I hope we get answers on Wednesday. I feel like it's too early for a Marsha task, Jordyn.
That being said, there is a secret room.
There is.
There is a secret room. I don't know how this is going to work.
Well, I know there is one, but I don't know where it is. Oh, what?
You see the Expedia room?
Yeah. Oh, there's that door. Oh, there's that door that goes... Okay. Yeah, no, I remember... No, I remember because on season 7... Yeah, on season 7, the Expedia Lounge was the room with all the files. Oh, what? Yeah, so Cole...
What is in here, Big Brother? What is in this room?
It's probably a diamond veto, because it always is, or a blood veto, or
honestly, if it's a blood veto, give it to Josh right now, because I don't want to see him leave.
Or a post-apocalyptic veto. I don't know. Is it going to be like a zombie veto? Are we going to be can we bring Julie Vu back from her house with this veto? No, we can't, because Julie has access of her Twitter and is on Twitter, and I'm sad. But it's fine.
Miss Julie Vu is not using her Big Brother. Yeah, but that's like a peacock room on the wall.
Yeah.
There's a couch, 2 chairs. What's in here? We don't know. I would like to know.
Probably a zombie veto. I'm going to call it the zombie veto. I don't know.
Those of us with feeds, tell me, do you see anything in this photo?
I can't, because I can't see the photo well. They look like potatoes to me. They look like potatoes.
One of them.
They look like rubber.
These are like a biscuit of some kind that they made.
Uh-huh.
However, the reason I am pointing it out is one looks like a phallus.
Oh, not that. Stop that. And on that note, great note to end the night on. I hope we get a more entertaining episode on Wednesday. We will be back Wednesday around 30 to 45 minutes after the episode is aired on the East Coast to talk all of the fallout. Cole, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate having
all his
you.
Social media is in the description below.
Yes, and if you want to listen to all of us, again, at the Fallout TV on Twitter, we'll give you all of our links to watch on YouTube if you are live here, and on all available podcasting platforms. All of those links will be in the description, either below in the YouTube video or in the description of wherever you are listening.
Turn on notifications.
Do all the YouTube things, do all the podcast site things, do all the things. Support your favorite queer podcasting people. I don't know.